YouTube, waiting for that button to turn red, and it's red now. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to the Digital Drop, where we help online hustlers like you take back control of your digital strategy so you can do what you love for a living. I know we were on break for a bit, but we're back with a new and improved show, and in this episode, we're going to be covering the PR mega disaster Cringe Fest 1998 Diablo Immortal disaster. If you guys are not familiar with it, we'll break it down and teach you everything you can learn as a digital marketer, as a creator, to not repeat the massive mistakes that Blizzard made handling their audience and their community. We've got a featured creator of the episode. His name's Rurikhan. He's produced 5,000 videos. He's full-time on YouTube. We're going to teach you what he's done. Yeah, Rui, he's our boy. What he's done to follow his heart and follow what he truly loves to be successful on YouTube. And also, Fast Pass Patron question. You guys are wondering how to become a Facebook level up creator. So we're going to break down precisely how that works and the different ways you can make money on Facebook today as a creator, which is cool. And then we've got some like and dislike buttons at the end of the episode. I don't want to give too much away, but they do involve Mark Zuckerberg's gaming platform and insane YouTube clickbait. My name is Andrew Wall, and I'm joined by my co-host, Andrew Perrin, as always, our social media expert. What's going on, buddy?
I'm back. It's been a little while. It's been a crazy past week and a half or so, but I am doing fantastic. Got a lot of projects going on. I'm excited to talk about all of them. I'm excited to talk about creators and to just be on the podcast again. So thanks for having me on.
Me too. And for everybody, we are going to have some, we're going to officially launch the audio version of this podcast soon on Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud shortly. We're getting the graphics created right now. So as soon as those are ready, we'll show them to you on the show. We're really excited about that. Getting out there on all those podcasting platforms. And we'll be able to teach you guys how you can launch your own podcast once we have that up and running, to use it as an example. But enough jibba jabba about us. We need to talk about this. Just pulling up the Diablo Immortal website for those watching live. Andrew Perrin, for those of you that have been living under a rock and haven't seen this PR Cringe Fest, give us the couple minute summary of what happened here with Diablo Immortal and this huge announcement at BlizzCon 2018.
So long story short, Blizzard, and kind of the biggest announcement part of their convention, like their own convention, BlizzCon, opening ceremonies occur. Normally right after, historically, there's the biggest announcement, that everyone's been waiting for. And that announcement was a Diablo mobile game. And if you guys aren't too familiar with Blizzard and Blizzard fans, Blizzard is primarily a PC gamer developer, producer. Like, they've been producing for PC gamer fans for so many years. And it was just kind of a game announcement that no one wanted. Their fan base was not receptive to, and they booed the announcement.
They actually booed at BlizzCon,
yeah.
Which, to my knowledge, I've never heard of that happening in the history of BlizzCon.
Not that I can remember. I don't think that's ever happened at their own convention. I mean, to get booed at your own convention is pretty big deal. So essentially, they got booed on stage. The presenters reacted pretty poorly to that. They weren't prepared for that kind of response. And then we had this backlash online where the Blizzard goes into damage control. They're trying to remove comments. They have a video of, Diablo Immortal that comes out on their YouTube channel. It gets so many downvotes. They actually remove it and re-upload it, which fuels the fire even more. They can start going through Reddit, removing copies of the presentation video, censoring comments. Like, they just go pure damage control, and it backfires horribly in their face. And it just makes all the fans more upset. It fuels the flames. And now we've got memes coming out. Do you guys even have phones? Like, this is a meme now coming out from it.
Do you guys even have phones? Yes.
And now, like, we've got all of this, many areas of the internet are covering this outside of gaming even. Anyone who's trying to be an online journalist or anything like that is starting to cover this story. So it's been pushed into outside the gaming realm. It's a huge thing. Every creator's kind of talking about it or has made a video or has referenced it in some way. And we want to, what I'd like to do is talk about, kind of how it's relevant in terms of audience development for you as a creator, and how you can kind of avoid this pitfall or avoid some of these mistakes yourself. If you're building up your own audience. And there's a lot with my team, we actually had like an hour-long meeting about this specific event, because, this blows up on social. It's very relevant to us to discuss, and look at why does that happen, and what mistakes did they make? How could they have not run into this problem? How could they have responded better socially? So I'd like to link it back home for all the creators here who watch the show.
Absolutely. So we don't want to focus on the implications for the gaming industry here. Let's talk about what this means for you guys whenever you're communicating something to your audience, whenever you're having to deal with negative press. So let's talk about the first mistake, which I feel like if you go to the core of what happened here, I think that, and obviously Diablo 2's producer did sort of an op-ed, and I'll go ahead and pull that up on screen, where they were talking about how maybe Blizzard at its core more kind of lost touch with their own audience. And I kind of want to break that down. It almost seemed like they were unprepared, and they were almost surprised that they would make an announcement and then get booed at their own event. And so for me, this indicates that there is a lack of a connection between the Diablo team that runs this game and their actual end users and their audience. And so, what could they have done better, I suppose, to ensure that they didn't lose touch with their audience? Because I've seen this happen with creators many, many times, where they'll do a sponsorship that doesn't land with their audience and it goes poorly. They'll do a certain type of video or reaction video and it can become explosively negative, almost career-ending in some cases, when you're super out of touch with their own audience and what they want. So what measures could Blizzard take here, and what measures can creators take in the future so that they don't fall out of touch with their own audience that you do something that gets you booed at your ultimate fan event?
So for me, like I said, this is a marketing thing, right? And whatever marketers were in charge of kind of putting this together really kind of dropped the ball on it, and they really forgot a core part of marketing, and it's understanding your audience. It's audience development. So, Blizzard being primarily a PC-driven gaming company, and yeah, they've expanded to console, to some degree in the past years, but their fans are PC gamers. But they put together the pinnacle part of an entire convention, which people pay for. People pay to also view it online. They put together the pinnacle part of that was targeted to not a PC gamer audience. Diablo Immortal is a mobile game, and obviously Blizzard is wanting to build a new audience. It's wanting to branch out of PC gaming, and it's wanting to go into this new market and acquire new consumers. That's fine. That's great. Businesses should do that. They should seek new audiences in different places. However, you can't target your previous PC gaming audience with essentially an ad for mobile gaming. If I was doing this on Facebook, the audience relevance score would be like negative 5,000 because it's totally off base. You need to target Diablo Immortal to mobile gaming gamers, which are not the ones who are attending BlizzCon. So really, for me, you don't always need to make everything a huge launch or an announcement. If they're looking for a new audience, mobile could have just rolled that out, and it didn't really need to be this big announcement. If they wanted to announce it, they needed to announce it in a way that was targeted towards a new mobile demographic, which they haven't put together yet. So for me, Blizzard's first step outside in terms of acquiring a new audience, they've already shown from a marketing standpoint, they don't quite understand how to tackle that, because they haven't targeted mobile gamers. They haven't targeted or tried to build a new audience yet. They have tried to target and solicit their current consumer base, which is very inflammatory against this product, because they are losing out on as consumers, they're losing out on stuff that they want from this company, because the company has abandoned, the notion of, potentially abandoned. We don't know for sure, but potentially it seems like they've abandoned them. They're no longer doing PC gaming content. They're doing mobile gaming content. So not only is it opposite in terms of audiences, it's also content that specifically is inflammatory to your current consumers because you're not delivering on expectations. And it's just there's so many like errors and ways they could have done better. But for me, it's an audience issue. They targeted the wrong audience with the wrong content when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and I've seen creators make this sort of mistake themselves, and everybody out there who's a streamer or a creator or a business owner make this mistake where you rise to a certain level of success, doing a certain type of product or a certain type of stream or a certain type of content. And then when you drastically deviate from that all of a sudden, obviously that's a risk that you're going to be taking. So we're always talking about how you should be using the 80-20 rule with your content strategy, where 80% of your content should be your core content that your audience loves, and 20% should be experimental where you're testing new things. In this case, they kind of went 100% off the current platform, and they just completely switched strategies, which pissed their audience off. And so a lot of people, if they had used the 80-20 rule in this example, what the 80-20 rule would have been is, okay, we know we have a PC gaming audience. We know we do have a console audience for Diablo Immortal. We also know that we want to expand into mobile. So the 80-20 strategy for them would have been, okay, well, you know what? We're going to make a PC Diablo game, and it's going to also be released on console, but we'll also have a mobile version of it that you can play as well. So that way they would keep their core audience and they would keep their core content and keep their core thing that makes them successful, but then begin to extend the Diablo franchise into the mobile gaming market, which makes sense. That would have worked very well for them, and people would have been like, all right, I'll give the mobile version a shot. Sure, I might want to kill some demons while I'm sitting on the toilet. That would be fun. And so creators out there, this is another example of just flipping the switch on a new strategy that you're thinking about, flipping the switch and playing a new game, flipping the switch and completely changing your format on everything that you're doing is a disastrous strategy that is super, super high risk. And in this case with Diablo Immortal, it failed on the ultimate stage for this company and on the ultimate level. And so small experimentation and small changes is the path to success, in my opinion.
So another thing, and I think this part is the almost more important takeaway for creators, and it's the reaction. So if you run as a creator, or if you're working as a marketer on brands or whatever, and if as a creator, you have your own brand, if you run into this situation where you have this backlash and you put out a piece of content and you got this, you got this reaction that you didn't expect and it's extremely negative, do not try to censor it. Do not go in there and try to defend something that like an opinion or your content that people already are attacking. You're only going to fan the flames for people. You're only going to drive more and more and more anti whatever you just did.
Yes.
Generally speaking, as a PR move, when that happens, you have basically two options in my mind. You have do not respond, which I think in this case would have been bad. Blizzard has a reputation of being in tune with their audience.
Right.
And not saying anything would be very out of character and would be just as bad of a PR move. But in general, when you have something very negative like that, do not respond is a choice, or respond, own up to the fact that you made a mistake.
Right.
And communicate what you're going to do to fix it. Right. Those two things. And I think in this case, with the whole Blizzard censoring everything, I don't know who was directing that action. I'm sure there were reasons they felt that they needed to do that, but that is the completely wrong response when you have a big disaster like this. It only makes the disaster so much worse. What they should have done was have somebody very high up, maybe the new prez, come out and say, hey, we see that you guys don't like this announcement. We own up. This was probably not the best place to do that announcement. We're excited about this game. You guys obviously aren't. We want to acquire a new mobile game, game audience, but we also want to do something for our console, our PC players out there. And so here's what we're going to do, X, Y, Z. That needed to happen, and that didn't happen. So they made it worse. Blizzard actually turned it into a meme. Blizzard actually made this a huge internet wide trend. because of the way they reacted. I think this would have been a thing kept within the gaming sphere of the internet. Yeah, it would have been kind of big news, but it wouldn't have left that scope. It wouldn't have been a big story if Blizzard had just kind of owned up to the mistake.
So let's break down specifically what that mistake was for all the creators out there that have to moderate comments on their YouTube channel, on Twitch, on Twitter, everything else. So what happened is after this disastrous announcement, this is the part where you guys, I hope you guys can learn a lesson here. This is the ultimate failure. So please learn the lesson here so you don't make this mistake. But I've got the video open right now. And what happened is they released the gameplay trailer on YouTube. And then what they did is they tried deleting comments on this YouTube video and unlisting this YouTube video and then uploading a different version and doing all of these different kind of tricks, if you will, to try to make it look like people didn't hate this announcement as much as they did. All of those options fueled the fire and made the story way bigger and way worse than it would have been if they had just released the video and just let it get dislikes. Because them deleting comments and what have you ended up blowing up on Reddit, and people were creating memes out of being censored. And now even if you look at the comment section right now on the video, there's like stay a while and listen with middle fingers in it, and hey Blizzard, delete this, etc, etc, etc. And these comments are going non-stop on this video, where people aren't really even necessarily even complaining about the fact that they don't like the content that was announced. They're now complaining about the fact that they were censored when they said something about the content that they didn't like. So for everybody else out there who's got a channel and maybe you make a mistake, maybe you do something wrong, maybe people are being extremely negative because you screwed up, do not delete their comments. Do not censor your audience when they're providing critical feedback. Let it happen. Just let it happen. No matter what, even if you don't want to respond, just let it actually happen. Because once you delete that video, once you delete those comments, you add fuel to the fire and you legitimize their anger, and it's basically punching your fans in the face. So really, banning trolls and things like that and doing those kinds of strategies only feeds the trolls. And in this case, I'm not saying that their customers are trolls, but their customers are an angry mob, certainly. And the last thing you want to do to an angry mob is poke them and make them angry and make them feel like they're not being heard. Because ultimately the purpose of the angry mob is to be heard. So this is a huge PR blunder, and this is a major thing I want all of you guys to learn from out there. If people don't like your content, they don't like something that you did, let them say it. Let them post that all over your socials and your channel. Let them say it. Let them get it out of their system and then move on. Because people's memories on the internet are relatively short. What are your thoughts on that, Perrin?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, there is a scenario where you should maybe take a look at the post and report it, or most of the time you should almost never delete it. But if it's like personally threatening, like actually a threat on your life,
sure,
then yeah, you need to take action on that. So I wouldn't be clear about that. First of all, that's something that you should definitely be reported and you should address. But
also, if they commit any hate crimes like sexism, racism, or, you know, those types of things. Hate crimes, different type of thing. But we're talking about people saying you suck because you did XYZ. That's not necessarily a hate crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, their opinion that they don't like your content. So it's always been, you know, of my experience that no matter what you do, and you can be a perfect human being and you can make perfect content, no matter what you do, who you are, where you live, you know, what your opinions are, you're going to get people who disagree with you, and you're going to get haters. And that's just part of being on the internet. So you need to accept them and to a degree almost embrace them, and look for you. And you can even, you know, if you have trouble dealing with really negative comments, take them, look at them with a degree of constructive criticism. Like maybe what they're saying has like a little bit of truth to it. Maybe there's a way you can learn to improve from it, but also then just don't give it too much thought at the end of the day. Like, no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to appease everybody. So focus on the people that do like your stuff, that are your fans, that come there and enjoy your content, because those are the people you want to build, you know, you want to build your following around. And those are the people that deserve, you know, more content, more focus, more engagement, more of a response, and pretty much ignore everybody else. I mean, Like I said, you can look at it with like some degree of constructive criticism. That's it if you're good at taking constructive criticism. Otherwise, I would ignore it. Don't let it bother you. Everybody's gonna get haters on the internet. Haters gonna hate, right? This is an old saying now. And just keep doing what you're doing and with a positive mindset and embrace the people who like it. And when you have something big like this, really, I mean, with my team, we almost always go, with just ignore, like, because it's the best strategy. It's pretty much flawless. But that's a little bit more for like high level brand. From a more personalized brand, you might want to put out like a statement owning up to it, like own your mistakes, own your faults. It makes you more human. And that's why people watch YouTube. They're watching it for the human element. It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you make a mistake and you put something out that everybody hates. If you own up to it, people are going to like you because you're being genuine.
That's right.
And I think we've talked about that before on the stream. Like that genuine factor is really important for your content.
It can become a comeback story for you as well. Like, and it makes you human. It totally does. People love redemption stories. They love seeing people overcome adversity, and they also love being heard, right?
The crazy thing is Diablo 3 is a redemption story, so this is why this is also kind of sad, because that game came out and it had this auction house and everybody hated it. It didn't give you that Diablo 2 feel. And Blizzard was like, okay, we're going to work really hard to make this right for the fans of Diablo. And over time they did, and it became a great game. But like, so it's also kind of like just an added like extra like painful ouch that this whole event occurred because of also that redemption arc. They had the right approach with that game. They had the right community-oriented approach. They were in touch with their audience. They were in tune with what they wanted, and they owned up to a mistake. They owned up to saying, okay, the launch wasn't the best product that Blizzard could have delivered, so we're going to live up to our company's mantra, and we're going to make it amazing. And they did. So I would like to see them, get back to that mentality with this. Try to make a big company level decision based off of this event to be good to their consumers. Because at the end of the day, if you aren't good to your consumers and as creators, if you're not good to your fan base, your followers, you have no views. You're out of a job. That's the whole point. So I would really like to see them kind of come back and do something a little bit more genuine and constructive here.
I agree. An amazing comment here from Rurikhan, who's going to be our featured creator of the episode, saying, look at Shane Dawson creating redemption stories for scumbags on the internet. Shane Dawson's phoning Blizzard right now to work on a document series for them. Hilarious comment. We're going to talk about you in a moment. Rurikhan is somebody who's extremely genuine. And I want to point out that if you only read comments on the internet, and you keep your community at arm's length, and maybe you only read Reddit threads, you only read YouTube comments, you only read tweets, you'll only get a certain impression of what your community is actually like and what they actually care about, and you'll only get a certain level of connection with them and understanding their motivations. All of you, creators, streamers, everybody out there, I highly recommend that you actually talk with your audience as much as you possibly can. Things like Discord servers are extremely advantageous, or creating things like private Facebook groups where you can interact in a more private way with your audience members and with your top fans, so you can get a real sense of what they're really like. Because I feel like you miss a lot of context, you miss a lot of emotion, you miss a lot of that human element of what people truly care about if you don't actually talk to them, or you don't interact with them in a more private sort of setting. And so for something like Diablo Immortal, I feel like there probably were some breakdowns on the community management level for this team. Either that, or there weren't breakdowns and just business decisions were made, and that's that, right? That's also a possibility. But I think that on the community management level, there was a failure to be able to bring that connection of the fans to the Diablo team so they could truly understand what their sentiment would be. If they had brought in, for example, a number of gamers and to come test this product at the HQ, streamers and what have you, people like Rurikhan or Palitime or anybody, they would have in person unanimously seen the disgust on the customer's face, and they would have seen in person how bad it is. They may have anticipated that people would be a little confused or upset, but I don't think they anticipated how like the level of disgust. And so that extra context that you can get by talking to people on Discord and on Skype and in private messages can give you that information that you thought you knew, but you didn't quite get all of the information, so you missed the critical point. And so that's something that I highly encourage for all of you guys. Do something like a Discord server and meet up with your fans at events. It can have a huge impact on your ability to stay in touch with your most important customers and viewers.
And just go, you were talking a bit about, when you're just talking about staying in touch with your customers and getting to know them a little bit more outside of just like chat or comments. You also have to keep in mind there's a thing known as a silent majority and the vocal minority. So most of the time, most of your engagers and followers, the ones who are actually talking to you, are the minority. And you've got this big, this isn't always the case, but you can have a larger portion of your following that's relatively not vocal, and they don't talk to you really. They just like to observe.
Right.
And form their own, and they don't really share their opinions back to you necessarily. They just kind of like to watch. I tend to be one of these people a lot with different brands,
Yep.
And
me too.
in order to, you have to figure out ways in order to get their opinion as well. Things on different tools like polls. Polls where they can like participate in opinions anonymously are good. And lots of different social sites and have this sort of function. I know Facebook has like a poll feature built right in. I know YouTube has its polls too. Like live, you can add a poll and get people's opinions. So try to also pull out that silent majority, pull out some opinions from them, get their thoughts, because they're probably not going to talk to you. And it's going to be really hard to get them into like a phone conversation. But if you can also get them into a private community where they feel more comfortable, like a Discord server, like you were saying before, that can work as well. So Rurikhan says exactly like my audience just wants to watch me suffer repeatedly die in every video game I play. See, he understands his audience. He knows what they want in his content because they've shown him and they probably told him this over and over and over again. So so I feel like with that, talking about Rui, we could probably segue into looking at his...
Well, Rui, actually Rurikhan, our featured creator of this episode, actually made one of the best, I think, reaction videos to the Diablo Immortal controversy. And if you guys are not already familiar with this channel, here, I'll link it to you guys in chat. But this is our featured creator of the podcast. And I will go ahead and link to you his RIP Diablo video here. Where he speaks very openly and very honestly as a hardcore gamer who's been making gaming content on the internet now for years. At this point, Rurikhan on his YouTube channel has released something like over 5,000 videos. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Rui, in chat. And he did not become successful on YouTube until relatively recently. I say successful is a relative term, but successful on YouTube until relatively recently with his coverage of Monster Hunters, the Monster Hunter. And this is something that I want to share with all of you. There is a path to success as a creator and as a YouTuber and as a streamer by staying true to yourself and by only doing what you want to do with your channel. And Rurikhan is the ultimate example of that I want you guys all to take notice of. Rurikhan, we've worked with him, disclosure, we've worked with him professionally with TGN. He was the first TGN director. Andrew Parent and I are managers, still working with that company, and I co-founded TGN in the beginning. But Rurikhan has produced over 5,000 videos, and thousands of videos are produced, and he only had a couple 100,000 views per month. And then recently he started blowing up with this coverage of this new game. And what he's always done is stay true to himself and only played the games that he wants to play, did content in the format that he wanted to do it, and this resulted in him having a very strong brand and having a very strong following for his particular channel. And here I'm in the background, I'm playing his video of him reacting to Diablo Immortal. So for example, if you look at his reaction to Diablo Immortal, he's not afraid to curse about it. He's not afraid to also point out the pros that could be happening here, and also to talk about his personal experience and how he feels as an individual. And he comes across extremely genuine in the process. And as you'll notice on his channel, he's covering a bunch of different games at the same time. Fallout 76 and Diablo recently, but Red Dead Redemption as well. Monster Hunter World, for example. Tons and tons of games being covered here. Spider-Man. So the point of me detailing all of this for you guys is to tell you that this guy is playing whatever game he wants. He says whatever he wants. He tells it to you 100% honest, and he is making a living and doing this full time. It is possible. There is a path to success that way, but the road is longer if you end up choosing this strategy like Rurikhan has. And as you can see, the views on his videos vary a significant amount because he does this variety strategy and because he does what he wants. 50,000 views on his Diablo video, but maybe only 2,000 views on a Red Dead Redemption, for example, live stream, etc. And so I want all of you guys who are asking me and asking Andrew Perrin to take notice. You're asking, should I cover Fortnite right now because that's popular and it's the only way for success? Do I only have to cover one game or one topic in order for my channel to be successful? And a lot of the time we recommend that you focus on one thing to build and then you expand into other things after that. But Rurikhan is an example of somebody who just has done everything all the time and he was successful. And I think this is really, really important. And Perrin, I'd like you to maybe talk about why you think that worked for him and what attributes he has as a variety, in this case, gaming commentator and personality that helped him break through, and what attributes and what kind of strategies he's used to break through as a variety creator.
Well, I mean, it comes down to like staying true to yourself and then going back to being genuine. Like when you watch Rurikhan's videos and you listen to him talk and you look at his facial expressions, you can tell that he is being straight up genuine. Like it is the most human content that you can find. And that's the type of content that builds a true following. Like his followers will follow him anywhere because they love him. Yeah. And it almost doesn't matter what game he plays, what his opinion is. They may even disagree with his opinion, but they respect it because he's genuine. He stays true to what he believes in. He shares those beliefs, and he does it in a courteous way too. Like with his Diablo Immortal coverage, he's like, I'm not saying that this game is going to be bad. I'm not trashing the game. It'll probably be amazing, right? Like he still has, and he had the utmost respect, for the people presenting. He didn't want to direct criticism towards them. It's not their fault,
right?
So he's genuine. And even a respectful way, and yeah, he can be like crass and stuff when he's gaming, and when he dies, that's kind of the point of Rurikhan's personality too. But it also has this level of like human respect, which makes you respect him, and it makes you like him, and makes you want to follow him, and that's a perfect strategy for being able to jump around and cover whatever you want, because the linking factor that brings people into all those is the person themselves.
Right.
And the best marketing that you can do for a brand or for a person brand is to market yourself.
That's right.
Because then you can sell anything. And so I think in terms of a strategy for a channel, it's fantastic for that reason. For the second reason, just because simply like, if you're going to actually go and do this, be a creator on YouTube, wouldn't you want to like, isn't the point to do that because you're doing what you want to do,
right?
For fun.
Yeah.
Like why would you cover a game that you don't maybe really like, or that you're not really sure if you wanted to play it just to be successful, when the whole point of doing this to begin with is to be able to make a living doing what you love? And so this is I think this is a great example of that. A lot of people like will jump into Fortnite because they want to ride that train, but it's like, are you really doing what you love? Do you love Fortnite, or are you just there to kind of like ride the train and kind of build a following off that because it's easier? So sometimes the hard path, it's obviously more difficult, but I think in this case, it can be far more rewarding for just you as a person, because you are actually focused on doing what you love. And I think you're going to be able to keep doing it then. You're going to be able to do it for years and years and years if you take that route. So
right. And there are three types of motivation for creators on YouTube and anywhere else. You're going to have financial motivations, you're going to have audience growth motivations, and then you're going to have creative motivations. And you can't fulfill all three at the exact same time. If you know, so in the Fortnite example, people are like, you know what, I'm going to ride that Fortnite train and I'm going to get super huge. Audience growth is their number one motivation. But guess what? You're going to sacrifice in the creative and emotional fulfillment category. Rurikhan, on the other hand, has always put his creative and emotional fulfillment first. And eventually, the audience growth happened thousands of videos later, years later. And of course, eventually, the financial component happened for him as well. But sure, with his experience making thousands of gaming videos, he could easily hop on board, you know, one popular game and ride that to massive success. But, you know, there's a great comment here in chat from a creator who was asking him, you know, once your channel becomes larger, can you pivot to other games? And Rurikhan's saying it's hard, because if you stick with the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to burn out and lose creativity. And it's very, very true. So even if your channel is built on one topic, fishing or Fortnite or whatever that popular topic may be, if you don't add variety to your content slate, if you don't add variety to your day, to your editing, to your live stream, to your interactions, and what you're consuming all day long, you're going to hate that thing that you got into this in the first place that you loved. I can tell you from experience, having burned out on multiple games myself, making a couple hundred videos about, you know, Hearthstone and what have you, and then burning myself out along the way. So you've got to keep that variety up. And so one thing, I'll tie back into the original message at the beginning of this podcast, that 80-20 rule. 80% of your content should be the main thing that's growing your avenue and making you successful, and 20% should always, at all times, be experimental content where you're testing out new games, new topics, new formats. You know, try out a podcast, try out a live stream if you're a video creator, try out new platforms to keep yourself stimulated and interested in what you're doing. Because like Perrin just said a moment ago, what's the point of doing any of this if you're not enjoying it? What, for the money? Good luck. You know, becoming a super mega ultra star that makes $1 million, there's only going to be the top fraction of a percent that achieves that. So what are you trying to do otherwise, right? Do what you love for a living. And Rurikhan, I feel like, is such a wonderful example of that. Is there anything else you'd want to say about Rurikhan and his strategy to share with other people?
I mean, that pretty much nails it down for me. You know, Rurikhan used to be a member of my team and to work on video content for some of our brands too. So I'm really happy to see like his success. And I'm actually really happy to be talking about this channel, period. So I'm glad he's our feature creator for today. And I hope you guys go over to his channel, take a look at some more of his content, see if you like it, give him a subscribe and support it. You know, he's been making videos for so long. Learn from him. He is a fantastic creator.
It's so funny. He's in the part of his bit right now complaining about Diablo on mobile. He's holding up his phone and being like, how are you going to tippy type on this thing? It's going to run out of batteries. God, he's such a good creator. Go check out Rurikhan today. And the last thing I'll say about this, a lot of creators come to me and they say, take a look at my channel. And what am I doing wrong? And a lot of those creators are gaming creators. I'll go check it out. And you've released 5 to 10 videos. Guys, you're going to have to release way more than that to really start to figure out where you're going to go with your channel, okay? Rurikhan has released 5,000 videos before he became successful on YouTube. So release like at least 50 gaming videos before you start asking people for advice. Test out and see what you love, see what's working, ask your friends and ask your family what's working. See what feels natural to you first. Figure out yourself first and get the kind of bad video making out of the way at first. Then start asking people for advice. Then start looking to improve your strategy, maybe changing your strategy after that. Cool? Perfect. Now, speaking of which, we talked a moment ago about how Rurikhan and anybody else should be looking at diversifying what you're doing, where you're creating content, how you're making money along the way, because if you're doing the same thing on the same platform for freaking ever, you have a high probability of failure. And so you need to spend 20% of your time experimenting with new platforms, new formats, and new things. And one of the questions that we got from one of our patrons, gaming creator on YouTube, is how do you become a Facebook level up creator? And so before you guys tune out and go, Facebook sucks and it's garbage. Perrin, quickly tell everybody who's a creator what's on the table right now with Facebook in terms of making money and growing. Stick around and just listen to this. Give us 10 minutes of your time, because it might be worth your time to make more money and to grow your audience for relatively low effort.
So for me, I mean, and what I've been experiencing, I've been kind of studying the trend the past month or even more for Facebook gaming. And for me, it's the first time I've seen like a real opportunity for creators for growth where there's a demand for creators. Like, it's rare now to find a demand for creators. Normally it's the other way around. Like, it's too saturated. There's so many creators. But this platform has demand. It has multiple revenue opportunities. It has stars, which are like Twitch bits. It's got ad breaks, and then it's got subscription revenue, just like subs on Twitch. So you've got multiple revenue opportunities. You've got growing viewer base. Yeah, it's a little smaller right now. I think there's a lot of criticism out there and the journalism around it. Like it's relatively small. It's not growing, but it is growing. It is growing. I'm watching the growth happen in this past month. There is a ripe opportunity here. And I think for every creator, whenever you see something like that, you gotta take the risk and see if you're gonna get the reward for it. And I don't think you lose much as a YouTube creator pulling your content over to here. It's fairly simple. It doesn't add a lot of extra time to your workflow. And it's kind of like, why not try it realistically, just to see? Maybe it doesn't pan out. But what I'm looking at, I'm looking at I think it's really going to be something for creators to make some extra money off of.
Yeah, and we've got multiple of our patrons, small creators who are trying to grow, mid-level creators that are trying to rise up and make more money, and full-time creators that we're working with right now on our Patreon, now testing out Facebook gaming because we're sharing with them some of the results that we're getting. Really quick, how do you make money on Facebook gaming? Because this is the thing that people like, they don't think you make money here and it's just like a bunch of soccer moms and nothing's going to happen. Oh, you're going to get some likes. How are you going to make money here as a gaming creator?
Well, I mean, the stars. So like I said before, stars like bits. So if you build up a big enough audience and they're giving you stars, you've got that. You've got $4.99 per month subscription revenue if you can build up to that point, and you've got money of CPMs off of ad breaks. So you've got multiple revenue opportunities with it. For me, like, and then the thing I kind of didn't mention earlier, like what the opportunity really is organic views. Like, you can have no audience over here. You can make a piece of content and you will get organic growth. And that is hard to find. One of the only like social platforms that actually has that still is Instagram. And it's dying there. Like, it will be dead. And the organic growth on Instagram will be dead, I'm predicting personally, in the next, 3 to 5 years, I would say.
Yeah, don't be scared by that term organic, guys. That's the industry term. What he means is you don't have to pay money and you can just make content and just grow like magic. Like, that's what he's talking about on Facebook. It's
very rare to find that. I'm telling you guys, it's super hard to find that. I've been looking for it for years, for the entire time I've been a marketer. And the only other time I've seen it truly like this was when Twitch first came out.
Yeah.
And the organic growth then was, I don't think it's quite as big as that was, obviously, but it's the only time I've seen it quite, an opportunity that has that potential, essentially.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you actually need to do if you want to make money off of advertising, off of subscription revenue, and off of people donating to you on Facebook, and you want to just get basically free growth right now without having to pay for advertisements on Facebook. What do you have to do to make that happen in a more like specific way? I think that's what people are asking us to tell them right now.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So create a gaming video creator page on Facebook. So basically you make a page on Facebook and you categorize it as a video page. And then you tag yourself as a gaming video creator. You got to stream content with a game tagged for at least 4 hours in the past 14 days, which is not, if you're a regular streamer, that's nothing. You have to stream gaming content for then at least 2 days and the prior 14 days. So 4 hours and 2 days. And then have at least 100 followers on your page, which that can sound daunting for someone new. that's super easy with an advertisement. You can do that for less than $10 through advertising. So you might need to know a little bit about advertising, or get an advertiser, you know, like myself or someone, to give you some tips on how to just set up something very cheap to meet that minimum requirement. You're good at that point. You become a level up creator, which is their kind of first category. They have a second category, which is partner, which partner does not have clear factors on how to become one yet. That's something a little bit more personalized. Once you have greater success, you can begin to speak with Facebook about becoming a partner. But you get a lot of stuff for just being level up. So you get access to the stars. You get access to 1080p, 60 FPS
right.
On Facebook, which Facebook video is like almost all 720. So that's pretty big.
That is big. Yep. So those requirements are not that hard, right? Stream for 4 hours and 14 days, stream for 2 days in a row, label yourself as a gaming creator and have 100 followers. All of you guys can do that with $10 in a couple hours. No problem. And there's a link, just search, I'll link it for you guys in chat here, see if that works, but that's the deal there. And here's a great question I'm going to pull from chat right now. Talanis Gaming on Twitch is asking us, how does the income on Facebook compare to Twitch and YouTube if you're considering this program versus other ones? So both of us right now, Perrin, just so you guys all know, Facebook isn't paying us to say any of this. We're just recommending it because we're both now level up creators, me and Andrew Perrin, and we're seeing the growth on we only have like 10,000 likes each on our pages. But revenue-wise, what do we feel comfortable telling people versus Twitch and YouTube?
I don't have, so what I've read, so I don't have any direct experience because I'm not actually making any money off Facebook right now, to be clear. I don't make any revenue. But what I've seen is CPMs for ad breaks are very similar to YouTube, which makes sense. I wouldn't even call that a secondary source. I've read that. So that needs to be verified by testing. That's why I'm kind of going through the project myself so I can give you guys more info, but I'm not quite there yet. I mean, you've got to build to a point to get to that revenue. You got to build to the requirement for ad breaks, which I'm not there yet either. So I can't give you anything comfortable, like concrete in terms of what is possible. But if you look at the features and you look at how they're pretty much identical to Twitch, I mean, as long as the CPMs are somewhat similar, it's going to be the same opportunity if the viewership rises to at least a margin of Twitch's, which I am predicting that it will.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg already said
Twitch,
that Facebook is going to be almost all video by the mid-2020s. So this is not like they're going all in on this. So they are going to crank the dials up on video. And they're cranking the dials up on gaming on Facebook right now in a massive way. That's where the growth's coming from. So they're like, this is the time. If you guys want to get that Facebook boost, Facebook has a vested interest in video working and gaming working on their platform because they are going all in on video as a platform. And when a platform goes all in on a particular type of content and they don't have enough people to make that kind of content, that's your opportunity to grow for free.
And hopefully, as I continue to work on this project, and we're back on future digital drop episodes, I'll drop more findings. I'm always into the different social media avenues, learning the algorithms, trying to understand how they're working, how to benefit from them, how to make money off of them. So we'll provide that to you. But right now, it's an early project. It's in the early stages. The reason we're telling you is because that's when you want to get into it. You don't want to get into it when, 2 months from now, I'm telling you, oh yeah, you can make this much money, XYZ. By then it's almost too late to get in on like the big organic growth. So I know we tout this a lot on the digital drop. We're not, like I said, we're not paid by Facebook. We just see an opportunity and we want you guys as creators to know of opportunities while they're ripe so you can strike. And maybe, like I said, maybe it doesn't work out, but I don't think you lose a lot from trying on this one. I think it's relatively easy to bring your content over there to, you've already got the thumbnails, you've already got the VODs, you've already got the live streams. Bring them over here. See if it pays off. If it doesn't, well, you probably got some value out of it. You probably grew some audience out of it that maybe you can translate back to your channel. But if it does, then you can make a lot more money, and you can use that money to support your YouTube creation. You can use that money to support your business in any way you want to. It's an additional revenue opportunity. And yeah, I'm excited to be feeding you guys more kind of results and experience and findings as in the future episodes. But right now it's relatively early. Yeah, it's basically a big experiment.
So any gamers out there that want to try it out, see this right here under my About section on my page. Add gaming video creator as a tag on your Facebook page when you create it. That will be that first requirement that we talked about here. And then the other two is stream for 2 days in a row, do at least 4 hours in 14 days, and get 100 followers, which you guys can just literally click the get followers button on Facebook and insert $10 and it'll be a done deal. And you'll enable those monetization methods. It is all three, just like Twitch: donations, ads, and subs. Okay, so that's it. We will report back to you. Perrin and I are still streaming on this platform. We're still growing. We have multiple small patrons growing from scratch right now with this strategy. We are bringing over some larger creators over to Facebook to see how their strategy is working out. We are not going to promise the world, but we are telling you that growth is happening there. And that's that question that a patron asked. So thank you very much for asking that. We have to get into our likes and dislikes buttons, though. And I'm going to go first, because I want to go first and I want us to have a good laugh. And I don't want us to talk about Facebook every single minute of this podcast, because like Facebook is not the most interesting topic. But I would like to show all of you guys in our like and dislike section just a great channel. It's both a like and a dislike at the exact same time. And the name of the channel is, and this is a creator I was talking with on Twitter, it's called Top 5 Finest. And this is some of the finest clickbait you will ever see on the internet right now. Okay? So I'm going to share with you a few examples, and you guys, oh my God, I'm looking at it. I got to go full screen on this. I'm going to read some of the headlines for those of you that are going to enjoy this as an audio version later, but check out this next level 10 out of 10 clickbait. I'm not a fan of clickbait, but when clickbait is this good, you got to tell people about it. So check this out. 5 megalodon caught on camera and spotted in real life. Episode 2? Wow. Okay, 5 angels caught on camera flying and spotted in real life. That's unbelievable. How about this thumbnail right here with a 500-foot megalodon right here? 5 of the biggest animals to have ever roamed the planet, including this Godzilla-sized megalodon here. That's incredible. But wait, there's more. How about 5 forbidden places on Earth we dare you to visit? That one's pretty good. There's a couple more, and I'm only going to share a few more. We're going to move on to the next thing. Oh, here's the best one. This is, I think, one of the strongest thumbnails on all of YouTube. You guys may have seen this in your recommended. This is the episode 1 of 5 megalodons caught on camera and spotted in real life. Look at the megalodon about to bite the dude, Perrin. Inside of the wave right here. He's about to jump through.
That's not Photoshop. That's a real screenshot.
That's a real screenshot. Yeah. That's a real screenshot right there. That's incredible. And there was another one. I don't think that... Oh, yeah. 5 mermaids spotted in real life. 5 mermaids that might exist in real life. Anyway.
We want it to be true so bad. But yeah. Thanks, YouTube.
Oh my God. And there's so many good videos here. These thumbnails and these titles are the best.
What is even going on in that thumbnail? The 5 mermaids in real life. Like there's like arms coming out of, I can't, what are they coming out of?
It's so good. I mean, I'm just dying. Like, do you remember, I don't know, maybe I'm dating myself, but there was this old like tabloid that you used to get in convenience stores that had like, it's called Weekly World News. And it's where there were clickbait headlines like this. That's where like Bat Boy came from, and like killer tennis playing robots and crap. And just the laughs I get out of checking out Top 5 Finest's clickbait, like 5 unicorns caught on camera and spotted in real life. And it's got a freaking circle. Like it's a real unicorn.
All of them have a red circle or like oval. Like the thumbnail game on point. Every single one.
5 I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me that thinks it's so funny. 5 roosters you won't believe actually exist. It's so funny. Why does it
clicks on that?
Why does it have 8 million views, Perrin? Why?
Because the thought that runs through your head is like, wait, there were roosters that exist that I didn't know about. Hold up. Let me check this out.
Oh my god. And okay, the last thing I'll share here, we'll move on to your like button. 5 unbelievable cocks would have also been a good title. You're right, Talanis. But here's the last thing I'll say about it. In their more recent videos, they started doing titles where it's something like "click fast" before the FBI deletes this video. It's the best, man. "Click fast before the FBI deletes this video" is some of the best YouTube titling I've ever seen in my life. Anyway, top 5 finest. You win the clickbait contest. Okay, moving on to Astral's like button of the episode. I just thought it was so preposterous. All right. All right, that's my like button. Yes, I like clickbait when it's that extreme. So here we go. I pulled your tweet up here on the screen. What is your like button of the episode?
Mine isn't nearly as comical or entertaining like that, but mine was, so it's going kind of back to the Diablo controversy. And a former producer of Diablo 2 and of vanilla World of Warcraft spoke out about the issue.
Yeah.
And his comments, about all the drama were kind of spot on, especially that third response. Like he goes on kind of just like a rant. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to this history of Blizzard North being, the Diablo 2 development studio. And there was kind of like a falling out. None of the Blizzard North developers, as far as I know, are in Blizzard anymore. And so they're trying to create like this experience that those guys created, but they can't because they don't have those guys. They don't have that creative talent, those specific people. And so, he said he's saying he could say a lot of really inflammatory things, being a former producer of Diablo 2. But what he really said, he's got no problem with a mobile version of Diablo. In fact, he kind of wanted one as an option, but the way they presented it was a failure of Blizzard management and a failure of marketing. And what he kind of says is that never would have happened with us back in the day. We would have known because we were our own harshest critics, because we were the gamers that were playing our games, which was like, and it kind of shows you like that core.
So savage.
It does. It is kind of savage. Like he is saying like, that's not there now.
Yeah.
Like they don't, they don't play their own games. They don't understand the gamers anymore. And back then we used to, but it was a much smaller studio back then. They didn't have the biggest successes like they do now. They weren't a huge company. Like I think they were pretty big back then, but and what Blizzard North, Mark Kern and his team created, I don't think will ever be reproduced. It'll be attempted, but it failed at. It's Diablo 2 is its own thing, but it was cool to see him still around, still having an opinion on this stuff, and kind of reminiscing, the way it was back in the day, and pointing out specifically what they did wrong. And I like the top one. It's Blizzard gamers are not entitled. Actually, there's a second article about this that's really good. You guys should read the Forbes article about this coverage. It's probably the best, most well-written one because it covers the journalist backlash versus gamers. It talks about how gamers are the only consumers that get attacked for being entitled. And he puts it into he kind of equates.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. Okay.
Yeah. Because as consumers, to a degree, you are entitled. You're a consumer. You're paying that business money for a return. And if this was a case where that didn't happen, I urge you guys all to check this out. I think it covers it in the most genuine way, because it covers it kind of from a back business standpoint, compares it to other businesses where this doesn't happen. And Eric Kane makes the analogy like, if you're going to a new restaurant that advertises that you're going to get the best steak, you're going to get the best steak, and you're sitting there, you're waiting for the best steak, and waiter comes out, uncovers like, a bowl of steaming vegetables, and you're like, what the hell? Like, I came here for some goddamn steak. And
even if they're the best vegetables ever, your expectation was for steak.
that consumer isn't labeled as entitled.
Right.
They were sold an expectation that wasn't delivered upon. And so their outrage is justified because they've been deceived. And all this attack on gamers for being entitled, they're not acting entitled. They've been deceived as a consumer. But gaming consumers have it the hardest. And I think this article points that out. In no other kind of like area of business is this an issue, except for gamers, and they get attacked for all sorts of reasons. Some of them justly, but I would say a lot of them unjustly. So I was glad to see some of these articles come out. I think the Forbes one being kind of my favorite. It lays it down the best. And then Mark Kern, Diablo 2 former dev, being a huge fan of that game, seeing him come out on Twitter and get thousands of retweets on his opinion, that was always good too. So that was my like button. I definitely liked those tweets, and
that was a double like button.
True, I added an extra there, but just because you guys should read the Forbes article. It's pretty good.
All right, we will read the Forbes article. Thank you very much for that. And you know what? Unfortunately, that's going to be the end of this episode of The Digital Drop. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to be back soon with another one, of course, at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll let you know when the next one comes up. And soon, this will be available on all the podcasty places. If you're new, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to give us a rating and a thumbs up and let us know if you appreciated anything that we had to say or any of this content. And if you're watching on YouTube, description below, go ahead and follow Andrew Perrin, aka Astral, and myself, Andrew Wall, aka Awall, on Twitter. We'll keep the conversation going around Diablo, around Facebook gaming, around becoming a full-time creator, growing on social media. We love helping you guys out every single day. That's it for this episode of The Digital Drop. Take care, everybody.
See ya.